Give him just a second to get here.
If not work somewhere, off his hands. She not here tonight?
Sharon,
Yeah.
vacation.
I talked to Sherry earlier. She said she's doing pretty good with her knee. Oh, shoot, what was that? Sherry about to break down? Or
Yeah,
she
he
hit-
about to break the chair out.
I thought one leg had done took off.
He did make it.
Yeah, barely.
Yeah, ready?
Yeah. You're on mute.
Time is 6 p.m. I call this meeting of the Smith County Emergency Services District 2 Board of Commissioners to order and certify there is a quorum present with all 5 commissioners. And I would ask everyone if they would to please silence their cell phones and anything else at this time. And at this time, I ask everyone to stand for prayer and pledge of allegiance to the United States and Texas flag. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, and we thank you for all the blessings you've given each and every one of us, dear Lord. Dear Lord, just thank you for watching over each and every one of us and watching over all of our firefighters and all of our sheriff's deputies, police officers, and EMS personnel. Dear Lord, we just ask now that you would be with us as we conduct this meeting, that we make decisions that are pleasing in your eyes, dear Lord. And we just ask that you watch over us, lead us, guide us, and protect us. These things in your holy and precious name we ask. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. All right. All right, item 3 is recognition of guests and special presentations. I don't think we have any guests. Do we have any special presentations that I know of? Okay. If not, we'll move on to item 4, public comments. Do we have anybody signed up for public comment?
No.
Okay, all right. Item number 5 will be our consent agenda. Discuss, consider, and take any necessary action related to the payment of accounts, bills, invoices, payroll requests for reimbursement, requests for other payments, transfer of funds, and amendments. Okay, 5.1 will be our bills in the amount of, let me get down here to it. In the amount of $1,371,672.15. Anybody have any question or?
I had one question on Clear Company. I hadn't seen that one before. What was that for?
It's the piece of software we use for doing the 360-degree reviews.
Okay.
And for the evaluations of the admin personnel.
Okay. Thank you. I have no further questions or comments.
All right.
I have one under the Amazon charges. It appears that PO number 4488 is a duplicate in item number 5.5 for admin renovation in the amount of $1,316.81. We need to decide whether we're going to address it under here or in the other item.
Actually, that's a duplicate in that I did that for y'all's benefit to see the expenses that were related to the admin phase 1 and phase 2 renovations since our last meeting. All of those expenses are actually up in the consent to be paid. That was just informational. I probably should have done a better job of explaining that. But it ties right back to the phase 1, phase 2 renovations worksheet where I had detailed dates on there.
Okay.
So again, the goal was just to be transparent to you folks.
So they all have the project code.
Yep, great. No problem.
Okay.
5.5 is informational only, then I don't have an issue any longer. Thank you.
All right. All right. Is there any other question or discussion on that? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve, paying our bills.
Make the motion that we approve to pay our payment of bills in the amount of $1,371,672.15.
Okay, have a motion by Commissioner Dominy to pay our bills in the amount of $1,371,672.15. Have a second?
No second.
Have a second by Commissioner Wilson. Is there any further discussion or question? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. That motion carries. Under 5.2 is our district credit cards. And I think
I don't have any.
I don't think there's anything that was out of the ordinary on those. And, anyway, I would entertain a motion, we pay those bills in the amount of $18,921.83.
So
I'm gonna
made.
pat myself on the back here, we see that $500 credit here.
I know, I see that.
Yeah,
See, don't say pat
Right.
myself on the back for that one.
all right,
Motion so made.
okay. Motion by Commissioner Dominy, we pay our credit card bills in the amount of $18,921.83. Have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Commissioner Thornton. Any other discussion or question? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. 5.3, contract payments. This is for our contract services that we, most likely pay every month. And our stipends, and the total of those amounts to $83,217.89.
Make the motion that we pay our contract payments in the amount of $83,217.89.
Have a motion by Commissioner Dominy, we pay our contract payments in the amount of $83,217.89. Do I have a second?
No second.
Have a second by Commissioner Wilson. Any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. All right, 5.4, payment of bills, TIB credit card.
I'll speak to that.
Go ahead, Keith.
This should be the end of our relationship with TIB. And these are some charges that were disputed earlier in the calendar year, and they come to realize they were valid charges. And as soon as we get a final invoice from TIB, then this will be, we'll be done with TIB and solely have Regions as our credit card provider.
Okay. So these charges for $6,061.96 are valid.
They were all hotel charges that were originally disputed, and then some research was done, and they revealed that they were actually valid expenditures.
So is this the final charge?
This is the final charge.
Okay.
Hopefully the attachments provided
And
on.
I think most of those charges were for deployments, which we'll probably get reimbursed for. Right? Okay, all right.
I make a motion, we pay our TIB credit card bill for $6,061.96.
Have a motion by Commissioner Thornton, we pay our TIB credit card bill in the amount of $6,061.96. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Commissioner Edwards. Is there any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. 5.5,
It was just for information.
yeah, that's
just
information, right?
That
Yeah.
shows, and again, there's a schedule attached that just
Mhm.
shows the project, the phase 1 and the phase 2 renovations, the board approved amounts, what we spent to date, and the remaining balances.
Okay. Okay. All right, 5.6 will be our benefit payments. And, I think the amount of the benefit payments are, $96,221.14 for Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Texas for health insurance, and $8,364.02 for dental and vision insurance. And,
like we said last time, this is
Information.
also just FYI.
Yeah,
Yeah, no action. Good.
okay. That's just an FYI too, huh? Okay. All right, item 6, approval of board minutes, May 28, 2024 Board of Commissioners minutes meeting, under 6.1. Is there a motion on that one?
Yeah, I'll make the motion that we adopt the minutes as presented for May 28, 2024 Board of Commissioners meeting.
Okay, have a motion by Commissioner Dominy, we adopt the Board of Commissioners minutes meetings for the meeting on May 28, 2024 as presented. Have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Commissioner Wilson. Any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. 6.2 is April 15th special call meeting. I entertain a motion to.
Make the same motion that we approve the minutes for April 15, 2024 special call meeting.
Okay, have a motion by Commissioner Dominy to approve the special call meeting minutes for April 15th, 2024. I have a second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wilson. Any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. Item 7, Executive Director's Administrative and Financial Report.
So you have the written report, and I will focus on a couple of highlights for you. So the first highlight is in regards to the new CAD system that we are in discussions with the county, and nothing has been decided finally yet, but we are closely involved with their decision, and we will make sure that whatever they ask us to pay for, that it will suit our purposes, and that it will be due diligence and vetted both from an operational and from a technology perspective. So just want to make sure that you're comfortable on that basis. In this board meeting also, we have some documents that need approval in relation to the election on November 5th. And we're a little earlier than usual, but after consultation with the elections administrator at the county, we mutually agreed that the sooner the better, so we have it done and they can start planning accordingly. The budget for the next fiscal year is in full action. Everybody's involved at the staff level, and workforce plans and projects and general ongoing is already started. And what we're trying to do is to present a budget that is fiscally sustainable, yet does the best to provide quality emergency services. So you will receive, do you have the handouts? Yeah, you will receive the handouts later on with the timeline, so you can all plan for spending a couple of quality Saturdays with us to do the workshops, and we'll hammer this budget out. I also would like to, you've heard me say before that on the aggregate level under salary and benefits, that although some of those line items are a little higher, they're offset by other line items that are a little lower. So that does not mean that we have stopped focusing on efforts to reduce overtime. That is ongoing, and as an evidence of that ongoing effort is that operations have already started planning and progressing towards the new recruitment cycle, so we can try and control the overtime expenses. Net sales tax revenue that has been collected, it was actually a positive this month, 4.5% compared to the same period last year. And since the past several months have shown negative, we are encouraged that now it's suddenly turned positive. I don't think we're over the hump completely, but at least we see some green shoots in the economy, if you'd like, that things may be turning for the better going forward. Except for $50,000, all funds have been transferred away from Vera Bank to Regions. So we left 50,000. We're going to leave it there for a few months until we all feel comfortable that there are no late straggling checks coming in or other charges, and then we'll just basically close down the account. And lastly, our senior accountant is currently very, very busy with the audit, and hopefully we will have it done in a few weeks, depending on how quickly Squires and company can wrap this up, but it's at the final phases now. So unless you have any questions, that's all I had to say on this one.
Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, on Verabank, in lieu of waiting 90 days and leaving that money sitting over there, what prevents us from going to Verabank and making sure that our accounts are reconciled, that we know that we don't have any outstanding checks or pending coming in, and close the account sooner?
Well, conceivably, we could do that, but some of our vendors are, well, recently we had checks from some of the VFDs show up from January, just get deposited in the last few weeks. So, I mean, we can certainly reach out to everyone and go, you've got checks, it's time to deposit them.
Yeah, I mean, 'cause that's what I'm advocating, is that we knew we wrote the checks. We know they haven't been cleared. What prevents us from contacting those people and saying, if you don't go and deposit within the next 30 days, the account's gonna be closed?
We can do that.
Rather than leaving the 50,000 just sitting over there, just in case. Just a
Yep, no, it's
So
about
certainly
it.
explore that
suggestion
and
on
see if
on a way
that's
to
something-
address it, other than just letting it sit over there.
Yep.
I prefer to see it actively closed, not just sit in,
Pending.
and wait to see.
Yeah,
Okay,
sitting there gathering dust.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, all right. Any other questions for Eric? Okay. All right, 7.2, discuss, consider, and take any action on order of general elections for Smith County Emergency Services District 2 Board of Commissioners for the purpose of voting on single-member District 1 and single-member District 4. Who's gonna speak on that? You gonna
Yeah, I
speak on
mean,
that, Eric?
Basically, that is the format that is recommended by the county elections administrator. And if the board votes to hold this election, then before each one of you leave today, I will need your signature on this document. I have a hard copy here with me.
this is the same format as we've used in preceding years.
As far as the information is concerned, yes. The formatting is slightly different, yeah.
I think it's what's prescribed by the Secretary of State for the general election, so, yeah.
I think last year we actually had two sets of document, one with the early voting and then one for the rest.
Okay. Have any questions, I would entertain a motion to authorize that.
I'll make a motion, we authorize the order of general election form for Smith County Emergency Services District Number 2 Board of Commissioners voting or election coming up.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Thornton to authorize, to approve the order of general election and get the authorization of each commissioner to sign as indicated. Have a second?
I'll second.
Have a second by Commissioner Wilson. Is there any other discussion or question? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. 7.3, discuss, consider, and take any necessary action on approval of an interlocal agreement with Smith County to conduct November 2024 commissioner elections for single-member districts 1 and 4.
So since the commissioners has voted to have the election, we need help from the county to carry out this election, and this interlocal agreement will provide that help. So there are 3 appendices included in this document that shows 3 separate price estimates. And the 3 separate price estimates refer to if we only hold an election for single-member District 1. The second one is we hold it for only for single-member District 4. And the last one is if we hold it for both of the single-member districts. And also, as pointed out by our attorney, should both the elections be canceled and the elections administrator has started working on this, we are also potentially liable for some charges that she has incurred up to the point until we cancel the election. So I'm basically asking for the board to approve the interlocal agreement, authorize myself, Commissioner Brown, Commissioner Domine to sign where so indicated, and also to affirm the price estimates provided.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve the interlocal agreement to conduct the November 2024 commissioner election for districts 1 and 4, and authorize Eric, Commissioner Brown, and Commissioner Domine to sign all necessary documents.
Have a motion by Commissioner Thornton to approve the interlocal agreement and its estimated expenses, and authorize the executive director, the board president, and the board secretary to sign where so indicated. Have a second?
Second.
And a second by Commissioner Edwards. Is there any other question or discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. All right, item 8, financial reports. Keith?
Commissioners have any specific questions about any of the financial reports? And if not, we'll look at the budget to the actual for Fund 100, which is our main operating account of Regions. So it's October 1st through May 31st, we're 8 months into the year. We're right at 67, or should be right at 67% as far as budget utilized. So we're gonna go kind of out of order. I'm gonna go all the way to the last page and look at total expenses. So our budgeted expenses for Fund 100, the Regions account, is $24.7 million. We've utilized $13.5 million, got about $580,000 in encumbrances. Those two combined, we're right at 57%. We've got $10.6 million remaining to utilize through the end of the fiscal year. So that tells me that overall, we're in pretty good shape. Last year at this time, we were right at 50%, just for some context. So I'm gonna circle back to the revenue to start the front, top page. You know, our property tax, we're almost at 100% of it, realized revenue. Moving on down the page to the sales tax revenue, Eric's already discussed that. Overall, though, we're right at $18 million, or $18.5 million out of $24.6 million in revenue. So we're right at 75% collected for the year, which means I think we're doing pretty good. For our personnel cost, combined total overall, we've utilized 70% of the budget. So again, we're 8 months in, so we should be at 67%. So we're pretty good. Probably what's driving that 70% is some of the overtime that was incurred earlier in the fiscal year. Just compared to last year at this time, we were at 61%. Looking at administration, contractual, and legal fees, we've only utilized 51% of the budget being $370,000 approximately. But in this previous invoices that you approved, we had a pretty significant Squires invoice in there for progress billing, and we had the third quarter appraisal district fees invoice in there as well. I suspect we're going to utilize close to 100% of the contractual and legal and professional budget for administrative services. We've pretty much moved all of the expenses that were incorrectly charged to capital buildings and capital vehicles that were in Fund 100 to where they should be in 120 and 130 and 140 and 110. And there is right now encumbrances and expenses combined are only 60, or right at 63% of the total budget for capital electronic equipment. So we have 100,000 still remaining, and I talked to IT about this, and they feel pretty strongly they're going to utilize the majority of that $274,000 budget. Administrative operating expenses, we're only at 33% utilized of the budget right now. But now at the end of the year, we have big payments to Vera, actually in September, for the note payments for the property that we had purchased. And so of that $1.5 million that we budgeted, we'll use a significant amount of the available budget, less the contingency amount, which was set aside as contingency. And then we're finalizing the transfers to capital. Moving on down to fire administration. Budget is $697,000. We've utilized 58%, or $410,000. Big differences there are, got $88,000 remaining in chief and training stipends, $175,000 remaining in shift and paper cost stipends. And my understanding is those programs have changed a little bit, specifically shift and paper cost stipends. And so right now we've utilized $98,000. Last year at this time we utilized $191,000. So, but again, my understanding is that program has changed. Fire operations total, as far as hand tools, small equipment, we've utilized with encumbrances 93% of the total budget. Equipment large, right now only 16% have we utilized of that budget, but my understanding is that we're gearing up to encumber quite a bit of those funds. And then gear and PPE, that's driven mostly, or a fair amount of that's driven by the cost elements in the budget. And we have utilized 63% of the budget, $423,000. Training operations, we've utilized 67% of the budget, exactly where we should be. So what that means to me is we're right on track. Overall operations, if you combine actual expenditures and encumbrances, we're right at 66%, where we should be, should be at 67%. So that says to me that we're right on track overall. Support services, if you look at facilities, we've utilized, with encumbrances and actuals combined, 55% of the budget. Fleet, we've already used 95% of the budget. As you can see, there's pretty big deficit in parts, in-house truck repairs, but there's a big balance in outside repairs, so they offset one another, but we are at 95% utilized. Information technology, we're right at 75% of the budget. Looking at logistics, we've utilized 60% of the budget, and really what's driving that low number is supplies, gas and diesel. We've only utilized 47% of that original $360,000. So we're right at 49%, or compared to last year, we were at 49%. This year, we're at 47%. You know, what that tells me is it's really difficult to project the cost of a gallon of fuel in the future. But we've over budgeted, so I think we're in really good shape. Support services in total, we're right at 71%. Again, we should be right at 67%. So that tells me we're in pretty good shape. Looking at that rental equipment, it kind of jumps off the page. It's $64,000 deficit, but we all know that's the dozer, which really wasn't budgeted for. So again, total expenses, we've utilized 57% of our budgeted expenses. Compared to last year at this time, we had utilized 50% of the budget.
Okay, just a few comments for you.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna back you up to revenues total, $18,584,547 year to date. And you stated that we're at nominally 75%, which was indicative of being positive. But we have to acknowledge that our property tax has already fully been realized. So So what are we trending for the balance of the year in collection of other revenues comparative to what we have in budget? So, i.e., are we gonna run short on the total? I mean, just because we're 75%, 57%, doesn't say that we're okay.
Yeah.
We have to understand how that builds up to be able to make that statement. So I appreciate it if you'd look at it, if you'd state trending positive or negative to budget for the year. Would help me understand a little bit better of where you think we're at. We have a significant overrun 52002, which is the building content and accessories. We've already run over 38,000 on a $171,000 budget. So though we may be looking okay overall under administrative operating expenses, how are we managing that overrun?
That's insurance.
That is
That's
insurance.
paid early on.
Then, okay, so we've paid our insurance and we're over budget. So where does the rest of the year look like? We'll continue to pay insurance for the rest of the year, right?
No,
No, it's a one-time
It's a
payment.
one-time payment.
Yes, sir.
So this is a fixed, this budget?
Yes, sir.
This 209,043 will not go up the rest of the year.
Nope, that's one insurance bill early in the year.
Okay. Then, looking back over at operations, and again, you're talking about you're talking about contractual fees on operations total, 1.22, which is on page, I say page 423 is the way it prints, out of the 2.2. You're looking at, again, on a percent basis, but that's really not a true indicator of financial health. But, yeah, I'm going through it as fast as you did, so shouldn't be too hard to keep up, right?
Yep.
And carry over to 52-100 trucks in repair. We're sitting at 95%. You state that we have a savings in outside repairs, but that savings is it already taken into account? Is the 143 offsetting to the 142, or where are we going to wind up over the year?
Well, I think Larry had brought this up at the last meeting, but I'm gonna defer to Larry in this situation.
I understand, but like I said, you're reporting that we're 95%, but you're not telling me where we're headed. And I'm looking for,
I think
Where
we're
are we headed?
headed probably into a deficit in that category.
how much? What's our trend tell us? That's really where I'm trying to get to I mean, it's good to talk about 57% versus X percent, but that doesn't tell me where we're headed. So, and I'll let y'all do it offline and discuss where we think our forecast is gonna be. Okay, that's the only comments that I have.
Oh, very good.
So can I just address the revenue that we brought up to begin with? The trend tells us that as far as the sales tax is going to come in around 1 million short. That's what the trend says.
So, and I'm fully aware of that.
Yeah.
No, we're not, that's not what we're reporting in here. We're reporting that we're 75% and we look good. Well, just because we're 75% does not mean we look good. We're gonna be $1 million short.
Yes. Agree.
Okay. I don't want anybody to be sitting here thinking that we don't have any financial constraints. Everything looks rosy, but it's not. Okay.
Overall, we're short.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. Right. All right. Item 9 would be the Director of Human Resources report, but since Sherry is out, we'll excuse that tonight. She had a, So 10 will be Community Outreach Coordinator's report. Ms. Nikki?
Good evening. Well, this microphone, speak a little louder. So we're going to go back to severe weather, and I'm stepping in these guys' lane a little bit, but our guys were running. They were running calls, and we were trying to share that with the community as much as possible and get that information out there as far as the neighborhoods that we were getting to, the water that we were setting up for the communities that were without water, the TIFMAS teams that we had coming in, and then additionally, the support services teams that were stepping in and making sure that we had equipment, fleet was there, IT was there, and since then, they have been handling all of those issues that, you know, for our own properties that were damaged and making sure that we weren't ever offline and always up and running. So it was great to see overall the district working together, and then just the positive community feedback that we got to see our teams out and about and what they were doing. Again, not just our firemen, but those additional teams that were stepping in. So that was pretty fantastic. And then we immediately moved into those hot temperatures. So we have a water donation going on because, as I have learned, when you are preparing for wildfires, structure fires, especially in these hot temperatures, you have to start hydrating days before. So we're looking to our community partnerships to make sure that we're just all taken care of when we're ready to go for these hot temperatures. We're also, I say we also, me and the guys are meeting with lots of HOAs and property management groups. So a couple weeks ago, we were over at the villages meeting with that team, and then beginning in the fall when those quarterly meetings start up again, we'll be going out giving state of the districts, introducing the teams that respond to those communities, to those members so that they know who's coming, and then of course just informing them of any additional resources that we offer, ways that we can help them. As you can see in those pictures that I've got there, just some of the things that we've been involved in. When we look at our social media, our engagement and the information that we're sharing is still growing. So during the last 28 days, we had more than 75,000 accounts reached with our social media, which of course involved some pretty fantastic calls that the guys ran, some rescues, our baby locked in the car. That was a big thing that we received a lot of positive feedback on. Up into a couple days ago when we had some live burn training going on, because I will say that when we are posting about training, the community really responds to that. And I think that's just that idea of knowing that they have the A-team coming and responding to them. So I think they really appreciate that. That's what I'm seeing. So even in those particular posts, we're seeing, you know, upwards of 30,000 account engagement. So that's exciting for us to get our information out there. And then going forward, I know that we've got some recruitment information that we're going to be going out for people to serve at the districts and volunteers. So be watching for that.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions for Nikki on anything? Okay, thank you. Item 11, Assistant Executive Director's Report on Support Services. Larry?
Commissioner, we put the board report at the top this time for you, so we didn't have to take it out of order. I'm going to be brief on the board report. The RFP for Jamestown is pretty much ready to go. We've been working on the contract that would be included in that RFP. That contract should be with all the commissioners at this point for their review. Once we have that feedback incorporated, final sign-off by legal counsel, then we can move forward with posting that RFP with the contract included. We hope that this alleviates any issues like we've seen in the past, where we made a contractor selection and then couldn't negotiate terms. So by including the contract up front, we hope that speeds the process up in the long haul.
Can I ask you to get me a hard copy of that? Because what I get on my computer is, you can't see it. It's small.
Sure, I can get you a hard copy.
Yeah.
Probably what you're seeing is change tracking's enabled, so you can see what the comments are.
Well, it's just,
Yes, I can
it's
get you.
hard to get it big enough to see, so.
We are pretty much complete with the new building at administration, as well as the remodel. There's a couple of lingering issues that we're still working with. Countertops just got installed, plumbing's about finished, and waiting on a window really to finish that project out at admin. Over the last 45 days or so, the support team has processed over 80 accounts for renewal under the new renewal policy. And that's a lot of work, 80 people coming through it at once. But this is really just a catch-up, and then it should average out to about 1 or 2 a day. The old Flint Gresham Station 2 has been listed, is listed with our broker and is publicly available. And Net Health has given us, through an intergovernmental transfer, an electric forklift that will be extremely beneficial to the district at logistics. It's a pretty nice forklift, and we're gracious to receive that transfer. Yeah. Aside from that, you have my metrics before you, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all continuing to provide the individual reports, just, looks like under facilities, y'all, had a really good month in January as far as satisfaction, and y'all quit reporting from that point forward, so.
We haven't gotten any additional surveys since then.
No.
Surveys aren't always something people respond to. We really encourage them to.
Yeah.
But a lot of people ignore those as they come out.
Okay, so we just hadn't had any updated
That's correct.
satisfaction survey. Okay, that explains that. I'm not fixing to yell at.
Yes, sir.
Maybe it went the other way and y'all weren't trying to report it.
No, we just hadn't received it.
And when they were.
That's right.
Actually, that was the low point. We stopped reporting it.
That's
so.
right. Okay, I don't have any other.
Anybody have any more questions for Larry? Okay. All right. Agenda item 11.2, discuss, consider, and take any action regarding purchasing and installing a new transmission for Battalion Chief 1 at a cost of $5,756.01.
Commissioners, we did attempt to get 3 bids on this. One of them was disqualified. We reached out several times to try to get updated bid information, but we're unable to get anything successfully. So before you had the evaluation tabulation, the recommended results, and we just ask that you go ahead and approve the contract to Tyler Ford for an installation of a new transmission.
I'll make a motion that we approve the purchase of a new transmission, $5,756.01 from Tyler Ford.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Dominy that we approve the purchase of the transmission from Tyler Ford in the amount of $5,756.01. Have a second?
Second.
A second by Commissioner Thornton. Is there any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. 11.3, discuss, consider, and take any necessary action on replacing the 4-ton furnace coil and condenser at Admin Building 1 because the air conditioner is out.
It is. It's limping along at this time, and I'll be very transparent. This is a line item budgeted request, and we attempted to, we were planning on getting it in front of the board before the summer months hit, and we failed to do so, so we are having issues with it. Building 1's the one suffering with that at this point. We ask that you approve and move forward with this purchase.
What's the total price on it? On the quote?
$9,300.
$9,300?
And what was the budgeted value?
11,000, I believe. Let me go back to the,
Okay, so you're under budget.
yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I make the motion that we approve staff to schedule J&J Commercial Services for a new 4-ton AC unit for Admin Building 1 in the amount of $9,300.
A motion by Commissioner Dominy to allow the staff to schedule J&J Commercial Services to replace the air conditioner with a 4-ton AC unit at the Admin Building 1 for $9,300. Have a second?
I'll second.
Have a second by Commissioner Wilson. Is there any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. We'll get y'all some air back finally.
I guess the fact that support services is in building 3 and the problem was in building 1 is indicative of the lack of expediency.
Well, you know how it goes. All right. 11.4, discuss, consider, and take any action on ratifying rental and facility-related expenses incurred by extreme weather not to exceed $5,018.80. Tell us about that, Larry.
Commissioners, primarily this is for the rental of a mobile generator unit that was used at 3 or 4 different facilities during the storm event to restore power. Originally, it was gotten for White House Station 1. We weren't sure what the issue there was. Turned out to be the propane gauge was stuck on 20 or 30%, and it had run out of fuel. That having server room 1 in it was very detrimental, so we had to rent this unit as an emergency backup in case it was a faulty generator. Then subsequently, it was moved to Dixie Station 1. That station, as you know, is in decommissioning, but we were able to make use of the facility during the storm response as a staging and command area. And then it was moved to Fleet after that to try to regain services there. They were out of power for several days. So in total, that unit came out above $2,000. Then you have some miscellaneous expenditures to make small repairs to generators at several facilities also included in this. None of those reached the $2,000 threshold to require approval, but out of transparency, it being generator-related expenses, we thought it'd be best to bring it to you.
Make the motion that we ratify our expenses incurred for the rental generator due to extreme weather, not to exceed $5,018.80.
Have a commotion by Commissioner Downey to ratify the expenses incurred for the rental generator needed due to extreme weather, not to exceed $5,018.80. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Commissioner Edwards. Is there any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. And that motion carries. 11.5. Will be discussed, consider and take any action on repairing the roof at Admin Building 1 at a cost not to exceed $14,520.
Commissioners, the Admin Building 1 is in desperate need of roof repair. We've looked at several options, from reskinning new metal, making patches, putting a ceramic coating or a silicone coating. We believe that the silicone coating provides the best value and warranty. And in front of you, you have the evaluation tabulation and our recommendation to move forward with Cable's Roofing. This is within budget.
I'll entertain a motion.
Yeah, I'd just like, Larry, what brings it up now versus whenever we're talking about doing the full remodel? I mean, the intent is to not do damage to our newly remodeled facility. Why wouldn't it have been part of that original request?
We really didn't realize how bad the roof was. We thought we had a few roof leaks. After the remodel, it's very apparent that we have significant issues going on. So.
And was there only 2 bids? Do you have a no bid on one of those?
We had lots of bids on this, actually. We had bids on the ceramic system, the silicone system, and the patchwork. I believe in the evaluation tabulation, you should see, okay, we just had 2 on the silicone.
Okay.
Silicone was actually the cheaper option of all of them.
Okay. All right. What's your
I'll make
pleasure? Go ahead. No, go ahead, Adam.
I'll make a motion that we approve the roof repairs to Admin Building 1 at a cost not to exceed $14,520.
Okay, have motion by Commissioner Thornton to approve or authorize replacement of the damaged roof and ceiling tiles at Admin Building 1 at a total cost not to exceed $14,520. Have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Edwards. Is there any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. That motion carries. Item 11.6. Discuss, consider, and take any action on replacing the filter towers on 3 cascade systems at Flint, Chapel Hill, and Troop.
Commissioners, after a recent on-site service and evaluation by our contracted provider for the cascade systems, it's brought to our attention the need to replace a lot of these filters. Currently in the systems, there's 2 filters that are required. The vendor is recommending that we move to a newer system, which only has 1 filter that does the job of both of those filters and has less maintenance items associated with it. We have a lot of issues with these filters and their current sockets blowing O-rings, and that leads to repeated call-outs from this vendor.
Was this a planned expense or?
No, sir.
Okay.
Does the current system operate or with lots of blowouts?
We are having lots of call-outs to this provider to change out the O-rings, but in those filter systems. And that's what led to them recommending that we move to this one filter system. It's got a new or upgraded way that the O-rings and everything fit in.
Okay, so I guess both filters operate in parallel, so,
Yes.
okay.
I think they're in series, actually. I think that the old system is in a series. It's one type of filter, and then it goes through and comes to another type of filter, and this is an all-in-one, still filtering at the same levels.
Both cases, you're down if you're down.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Filter there is what it is. All right,
I have no further questions.
yeah. All right. I'll entertain a motion on that, request.
I'll make the motion that we allow the staff to schedule Metro Fire in to replace the filter towers in our Cascade system at Flint Station 61, Chapel Hill Station 36, Troop Station 46, cost not to exceed $5,973.
Have a motion by Commissioner Dominy to allow Metro Fire to replace the filter towers on the Cascade system located at Flint Station, Chapel Hill Station, and Troop Station at a cost not to exceed $5,973. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Commissioner Thornton. Is there any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. Here comes the big one. Item 11.7, discuss, consider, and take any action on capital improvements of the fleet maintenance facility at a cost not to exceed $343,966.60. Larry?
Commissioners, in front of you is a two-phase project. We offer up both phases to you at the same time for your consideration. Phase one is to enclose we have a fleet right now. There's a three-sided enclosure right now where there's a wash bay. The enclosure would add that fourth wall as required, 2 roll-up doors, a walk-through door, and create 2 more service bays, taking our service bays from 2 to 4. We also have the crane bay, but we really can't use that as a service bay because we're unable to lift trucks in that location. It's really used as a rigging and an outfitting bay. So this would take us from 2 service bays to 4 in expectation that we're going to be asking to add an additional technician to the shop in the next year. In addition to enclosing that, it's going to insulate, replace the existing failing heating system that we have, replace failing air compressor lines that we have, upgrade the air compressor to something that can keep up with the required flow rates, as well as add electric to that newly enclosed wash bay area. That consists of phase one. Phase two is to build a new 50-foot by 100-foot building with 7 bays. That would be much like the building just built at admin, if any of you have gotten the chance to see it. It would add commercial doors. It would be insulated and heated. This would be used to extend the housing capacity for operational apparatus at Rent Spring Station 2, so that they can park the brush trucks and the blocker and other things that have water inside in a heated enclosed facility, as well as provide us a location to store the reserve fleet and make it more efficient for technicians to swap out the reserve fleet for a unit waiting for repair. Also give us a place to put any items that are waiting repair for longer durations, a place to stay safe out of the weather and out of the conditions. This is going to be a line item overrun. So when we talk about the line item budget, we had a specific amount budgeted for this, and this is about a $34,000 overrun over that line item. However, overall in the budget, we are going to come in under budget on real property and capital. So I'd ask for your consideration. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Was the project the same project that we had line item budgeted?
Yes, sir.
There's no additions to it, no changes to it? It's strictly a inflationary cost overrun?
Yeah, the only real change to it is out in the back of the shop where we moved the oil enclosures. We're getting them to build a little lean-to roof, but I think that's about a $1,500 deviation of what we originally anticipated. So a lot of this was done just making vendor phone calls when we were looking at budget, making vendor phone calls and saying, hey, what do you think you could get this done for? And then it took us about a year to get it in front of you.
So I understand that the Red Spring Station currently has 1.5 usable bays, and you're talking about using How many apparatus do we have assigned to that station?
Oh, quite a bit, because we have the blocker, the dozer, a tender, the engine, the battalion chief, and, there's one more, a brush truck, and the attack truck. So there's 7 apparatus there, sir.
Well, your battalion chief is not gonna park inside, I presume, so I'm looking at how many apparatus bays do we actually need?
Yes, sir.
So you're looking at 4 plus the 3 reserve in the new building, right?
Yes, sir.
And where does that put you as far as overall, all you're at, with 1.5 existing bays plus your 4 new bays, does that cover all the apparatus that you have?
It won't cover all of them, but we still have the lean-to, so this would cover everything that needs to be heated. So we may still have some items that are being stored under the lean-to where they're not in direct sunlight, but this would cover everything that needs to be heated to minimize hard startups and pump freeze-ups.
And still leave your 3 reserve, 3 bays for your reserve apparatus?
That's correct.
How firm are you that the 34,498 is gonna be the only overrun?
There is no contingency built into this, none at all. But I can tell you that on the last 3 projects that we've brought to you, there hasn't been any contingency, and we've been able to bring it in on budget.
What happens if we don't?
We'll stop. We're only going to issue POs as we go. If for some reason we get to a spot that we foresee an overrun, we'll stop and we'll hold a special called meeting to consider that. But I don't foresee that happening. All of these quotes are recent. The evaluation tabulation is a little aging, but we did speak with the recommended vendor, and they are holding true to pricing.
What's the timeline on phase 1 and phase 2? Are they running concurrently, or are
They will run concurrently. They'll be carried out by pretty much the same vendors. Phase 1, I anticipate, will finish sooner, and so all the trades will be able to go through phase 1 pretty quick, while dirt work is being undergone for phase 2 and concrete setting, and then we'll move on to phase 2.
will that significantly affect operations?
I don't believe we'll see any true operational impact. There's multiple ingress locations and egress locations from that facility. And most of this work will be carried on the far side of the shop, so we shouldn't see any real impacts to the shop personnel, with the exception of when we get into electrical and airline work. When we get into airline work, the vendors made commitments to be able to do it in our off hours.
Well, most of the staff can tell you I get pretty excited when the tornado and hailstorms are coming, and we definitely need the coverage. So I'm gonna make a motion, we approve the capital improvements project for fleet maintenance in its entirety at a cost of $343,966.60, despite the $34,498.63 line overrun. We've got a lot of equipment out there that needs to be uncovered when these things happen. Cost us more than that, probably repair a lot of them.
All right.
I
Motion
mean,
by-
if you don't mind, I'll follow on to that. Having made that statement, how much damage have we seen from having those apparatus outside?
It's possible that we've seen some sun fade, nothing significant at this time. We do have a lot of downtime for moving trucks around. So a lot of time that we're pulling technicians away from answering service tickets in order to move these trucks around as we roll into this severe weather kind of situation. But I don't believe, to answer your question, that we've had any direct damage at this point.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. I'll second the motion.
Okay. I was gonna say, and that may be because most of them have been carried up to the Red Spring stations not being utilized and are undercover.
We've also carried them up to Dixie and some other locations that we're looking at decommissioning.
Well, we're having to move them a long ways when we don't have to move them at all, so. All right, have a motion and a second to approve the capital improvements project for the fleet maintenance facility in its entirety at a cost of $343,966.60, which also includes a $34,498.63 line item overrun. Is there any other question or discussion on this issue? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. Work your magic, Larry, and make it come in.
We'll get it in on budget. That's my commitment.
All right. 11.8, discuss, consider, and take any action on purchasing and installing a new passenger side windshield for Dixie Engine 272 at a total repair cost of $2,296.20.
Commissioners, the only place we've been able to find this windshield is direct from manufacturer, and then we have our local installer that's been low bid to do the installation. They've done a good job for us in the past as well.
That's not our new engine, is it?
No, sir, I believe that's the older engine.
Okay.
What happened there? I'm not familiar with it.
Let me read and see if I can see. I'm really not sure. While responding to an emergency call, an object for another passenger vehicle hit the passenger side windshield of Dixie Engine 172, causing a baseball-sized indentation in the windshield.
Does the insurance take something like that?
It's not, it doesn't meet our deductible.
Okay,
$5,000 deductible.
okay.
So, all right.
I'll make a motion that we approve the passenger side windshield repair for Dixie Engine 272 at a total repair cost of $2,296.20.
Have a motion by Commissioner Thornton to authorize a replacement of the passenger's windshield on engine which one was it? On the Dixie engine, not to exceed $2,296.20.
Second.
A second by Commissioner Wilson. Is there any other question or discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. Okay. 11.9. Discuss, consider, and take any necessary action on the replacement of the ESD spam firewall with a move to a cloud platform at an initial cost of $4,374.
Commissioners, this replaces a failed piece of hardware with a cloud-based subscription. I'm not always a big fan of cloud-based subscriptions, but in this case, I believe it's in our best interest to move forward with this. In full transparency, the existing spam firewall is about 8 years old at this time. It was not built with a redundant power supply, and as such, whenever we went through our power failure caused by the generator quitting at White House during the load shed process, it did not shut down properly and will not reboot, and it's out of warranty. And so we reached back out to the vendor to try to get a newer hardware model, and they said, hey, we don't have those anymore, and here's what you get.
So they don't even have a replacement?
They don't have a replacement. They've transitioned to cloud only.
You made the statement as an initial cost.
It will have an ongoing subscription cost, as do all of our firewalls we're used to paying for this one. This is about a 70% cost decrease, and it'll be about a 10% annual cost to keep the subscription up to date.
And it looked like that was for 300 seats. Is that,
That's
is
about-
that a rolling number of seats? or
Yeah,
is it-
it's a named user seats. So they generally go from 300 to 400, and they'll give us a little variance year to year to true up.
So annually, 10% of the 4,374?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'll make the motion that we would allow staff to move forward with the purchase and set up the USD spam firewall software at a cost not to exceed $4,374.
Motion by Commissioner Downey to allow staff to move forward with the purchase and setup of the firewall software, or spam firewall software, at an initial cost not to exceed $4,374. Have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Thornton. Is there any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. Okay. 11.10, discuss, consider, and take any action on repairing and performing annual inspections for apparatus lifts at the shop at a cost of $4,034.72.
Commissioners, this is the pallet jack style lifts that we have to link together and lift the fire apparatus with for fleet maintenance. They had some damage to some, they think, from the storm. They called in the company, they took a look at it and said, hey, it's also time for your annual inspections. They gave us a price to do the annual inspections as well as make the necessary repairs. And this is a sole source item for us. They're our only service provider here in the area.
So this is for the inspection and any repair they have to do?
This is for the
Covers it all?
inspection and for the identified repairs. If they do the inspection and come across any additional repairs, we'll have to bring that back to you.
That goes up.
Okay.
Yeah. But this is, we do know there are some repairs that have to be made, and we have to do the inspections. So I don't anticipate outside of any small items that there'd be any repairs to do.
That is a big apparatus lift, right?
There's
Big
several.
jacks.
So these are the ones that are, I don't know, pallet jack style, and we can link them together.
Yeah,
So sometimes they use 6 of them around a truck, and I think we have 10 or 12 of them at this point.
okay.
Yeah, and this is a good inspection deal for safety matters too.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes, big time.
Okay. Okay.
I would make the motion we authorize staff to contract redistributors to repair and perform annual inspections on apparatus lifts cost of $4,034.72.
I have a motion by Commissioner Dominy, authorize staff to contract Reader Distributors Incorporated to repair and perform annual inspections on apparatus lifts at a cost of $4,034.72. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second by Commissioner Wilson. Is there any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. 11.11. Discuss, consider, and take action on the purchase of wildland PPE for inventory.
Commissioners, and the initial outfitting of personnel as well as the new provisioning policy as people roll through to get what's owed to them in provisioning. We've burned through a lot of inventory, and it's time to restock that inventory and prepare for what's next. So in front of you, you have a purchase of $27,486 along with the evaluation tabulation conducted to choose low price.
Could you remind me how we, I guess, track the inventory, and then secondly, is it a one-for-one replacement of, as it's used, we replace it? Is that how you arrived at these numbers?
So a couple of questions there. We are tracking the inventory in WASP. We have an inventory management system. We assign inventory out depending on what it is. And PPE would be assigned out to the individual. It is tracked to them by serial number, lot code, manufacture date. Different PPE has different wear rates. Some of them good for 10 years, some of them 5, some of them until they're damaged. As of the new PPE provisioning policy, it is a one-for-one swap on any uniform or PPE item. Some people qualify for 2 sets of gear, and so they may have 2 sets, a backup and a primary on hand. But it is a one-for-one swap.
Is there a threshold that we get to a certain amount that we start looking at buying them in bulk, that we start getting to a higher discount level?
So we haven't based that on discount levels. What we're basing it on as of right now is lead time, how long it takes to get those items in, and versus how fast we're putting those type of items out. And so we're trying to make sure that we get new inventory in before we have a need that we can't fulfill. A lot of that's still in development. Logistics is only about a year old at this point, so some of that data is real hard to come by. We're still working on building that out.
Is there a time span on getting the stuff in?
I think all of this was in stock and ready to ship, so within a week or two, normally we'll have this in. This Ben's Trucking is, they're awesome.
Fun to name.
I had to look twice.
Yep.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
All right. I'll entertain a motion on this item.
I'll make a motion that we authorize staff to purchase PPE from Ben's Truck Repair for a cost of $27,486.40.
Have a motion by Commissioner Thornton to authorize the purchase of PPE from Ben's Truck Repair for a cost of $27,486.40. Have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Commissioner Wilson. Is there any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. Okay. All right, now to item 12. Chief of Operations Report. Chief Greaser?
Yeah, Commissioners, you have my report. I would like to point out a couple of things that are noteworthy. During the severe weather events over the last, well, we've had quite a few wind events that created quite a bit of damage throughout the county. Some of which is in the report. Some is from the month of May. Some carrying over into the month of June. Most recently, the June events and some of the stuff that Nikki was reporting on. Chief Smith was able to be very useful in the county's emergency operations center. You might have read my situation report that I put out related to the frailty that our 911 office faced during this most recent event. Really a complete shutdown of the CAD. We were operating on backups of every sort and relocations of part of the operation over to Flint to try and continue operations and get calls dispatched. So kudos to staff, the quick work. When we're talking about generators, we're talking about solutions. County Office of Emergency Management, including Brandon Moore. Just excellent work to try and keep the county alive in that condition. The volume of calls that were coming in and processed, those that stepped up to the plate in the ops center, both paid and volunteer staff, those that stepped up and staffed out brush equipment and saw team equipment, absolutely fabulous. In addition to that, we were, for the first time, requested resources from the state, including what's referred to as a SAW module. It's really a SAW team, is a better way to put it. TIFMAS did, within short order, supply a significant response to Smith County, including City of Tyler. We put all those resources to work. We were able to also acquire a rented dozer at minimal cost. That was able to help us clear roadways and make access into areas that would be predominantly unpassable had we had additional emergencies in those areas. So really a lot of collaborative work throughout the county to achieve that mission in short order. I was blessed with the opportunity by DPS to fly in the helicopter and go do some damage assessments. And that was a unique opportunity that you don't get often. Some different perspectives that were really very beneficial to us to make sure that we hadn't missed anything in our assessments. With that said, I'd like to focus on the Lucas devices are in service, and we've had some really good feedback on that. We've actually been able to utilize them a few times. EMS has provided us some excellent feedback, as well as the analytics that come off of the system that show the CPR that's performed with the devices. So we're getting proficient and we're putting them to good use, and those are underway. I don't have a success story yet to report, but I'm anticipating and hopeful that we'll have that in short order. Those are fabulous devices, and I appreciate your support to put those in service. Talking about apparatus a little bit. Tahoe fleet that we ordered last year, I reported in my Friday report, has made great progress. We anticipated that might be a 2-year project to get those Tahoes in. It looks like they're more like an 18-month project, maybe even a little bit less than that. We expect to go do final inspections on them the end of the week. So they're making great progress on those. I think supply chains are starting to catch up is predominantly what we're seeing. It's great news. In addition to that, our Pierce pumpers that were prepaid prior to my arrival are deep into production. I posted a link in my Friday report where you could go follow in production. Last Friday's report, or pictures, if you will, on the production line. They're making great progress, so I anticipate that we'll be doing final inspections on those inside of 30 days. The fourth one, as you know, we ordered in this fiscal year, and it'll be produced in the Florida plant later in the summer, is when that Pierce Impel, I said that wrong, Pierce Enforcer will be produced later in the summer. So excited about those progress and what that'll do for our operation. We talked about reserve fleet and trying to build out that reserve fleet. In addition to that, and I didn't mention it in my written report, but we've received the truck back from the body shop, which is one of the Pierce responders. So it's back from the body shop, and it's in great shape, minus that it has no equipment on it. Over the last 2 years, all of that equipment was relocated to other equipment. So it comes back as a stripped truck. It had a brand new body put on the back end. The one thing it has going for it is it does have a radio in it, so that's good news. The body looks great on it. The repairs look amazing, and we anticipate that we'll be able to have great usage of that truck and be able to brand it for Jamestown. So we're prepping that as we speak. So this will be a fabulous truck. It's got a lot of life in the vehicle, and it looks fabulous coming back from the body shop. I think in the last board report you approved some tires for it, and so it's looking very good.
I was at the shop when they brought it in. It looks excellent.
Yeah.
Looked at it.
Which engine was that? Was that the white on, or which engine?
It was Jackson.
Jackson?
Yep.
Okay.
It was one.
Got hit?
Yeah, they got hit prior to my arrival. It's been out of service about 2 years.
Yeah.
But a lot of life left in that vehicle, and we anticipate to put it to good use.
So on the TIFNS request, did that come from us or the city of Tyler or jointly or what?
There were multiple requests that were put in. Those STAR requests went to the state in collaboration with the Office of Emergency Management, and so we were able to ascertain the manpower and equipment that we needed in short order.
Do we have any idea how many they actually sent?
I'm gonna say we had at least a dozen that were with us, attached directly to us.
Probably could have used 4 dozen more, all the trees I saw down, so.
It was quite extensive. A couple other things I'd like to point out on my ops report is, before you tonight, we have the Chapel Hill Type 3 grant-funded brush truck for reconsideration. I also have mentioned tonight about our planning for recruitment class number 7. There's several vacancies that we have from continuation of the 12-hour staff. But in addition to that, we're experiencing a few additional vacancies that are occurring as we speak. Some that are leaving for jobs that are closer to home, such as Parker County. And we're starting to see a couple of vacancies that are coming available within the organization. So we're going to need to expedite our recruiting and get busy. And in some cases, those will be of supervisor lieutenant class that we're going to need to focus on. So we've got some challenges ahead of us to do that, and we're working on those diligently as we speak. In addition to that, we did talk about the CAD system. Mr. Edstrom mentioned that earlier. There's been a lot of collaborative work to identify the right product for the CAD system. It is a work in progress. We're a seat at the table with the county. This really is a county project. It'll require an interlocal agreement that'll be before you before anything moves forward. So that's a future item that be expecting that we'll have to work through and discuss. Right now, we're placeholding some funds in the future budget, but we've got some work ahead of us at the county level to obtain that. Collaborative work that'll have to happen with ESD1, also City of White House. There's several other agencies that'll be plugging into that. Bullard PD is an example of that as well. We did approve the auction. The auction has been a little bit delayed. I just got notification that it'll go live very soon, like within days. They want to run it through late July, so they're going to leave it open for a period because of the specialty equipment that is being listed for auction. So expect that'll be up and running very soon. One of those delays was really just in the title acquisition from some of our service providers. We really struggled to get some of the documentation right, despite a lot of work and a lot of efforts to do so. In addition to that, I would just point out that staff is working to verify certifications of our volunteer members, our service providers doing certification audits, provisioning of equipment that we spoke of a moment ago that is ongoing. That work is pretty exhaustive work amongst the staff of support services to make sure that fit tests are accomplished, that all of the things related to the provisioning of equipment, including radios and pagers, all of that is documented and updated, and any of the work that needs to go with that. In addition, I'd point out that staff is experiencing significant issues with several of our service providers. Those are conflicts in compliance with our contractual agreements, and we're continuing to work through those. Those include personal vehicles to the scene. Those can also include uncertified members responding directly to calls. And so I continue to work with all of our service providers on all of those issues. That is the end of my report. I'm open for any of your questions.
I had a couple of them, but one of them was going to be on the active members that we show at each one of our service providers. I mean, there's 3 or 4 of them that look like they have pretty good participation. Others that look like that we're still working towards meeting that minimum criteria. So I wanted to commend those that are actually doing good right now. So appreciate it. The other one was that just wanted to bring to your attention that under your personnel participation summary, that I'm listed as an active member, qualified as a firefighter, which I am not. So y'all probably need to do some serious work at that because it has each one of the board members, staff members listed in it. So I don't know how it got changed around, but we need to probably look and get that one corrected so it's actually representing true providers.
Absolutely.
Okay. Anybody have any other questions for Chief? All right. We'll move on to 12.2, which is discuss, consider, and take any necessary action on decommissioning of the troop volunteer fire department station 3, which is at Surf Station across the tracks, which is on the White House side. I think
Yes.
you've spoken to Chief Mauger about that, and y'all are in agreement on it. Is that right?
Yes, Commissioners, all parties are in agreement on that. There's been some exhaustive work to work and collaborate on this topic, both in person and written exchange back and forth. My research shows that it's listed for auction as we speak. I think that's being shared on social media platforms. It's being shared by news networks.
Facebook the other day that
It is.
they'd put it out.
So I think all parties are in agreement. We ask for your consideration to move forward and decommission. The purpose of that station has outlived its useful life, and the response model is overlapped by both White House and ARP. So we don't have the issue that we once had there with the train tracks. Not to mean that the trains aren't active, they are, but we're able to offset that response with both ARP and White House. In addition to that, the training captain is residing there in the nighttime hours. So we've got a model in place that is working.
Okay.
Make the motion then that we acknowledge the decommissioning of Troop ESD Station 3 and allow staff to take appropriate action.
Okay. A motion by Commissioner Domney to officially acknowledge the decommissioning of Troop VFD Station 3 and direct the staff to take appropriate action. Have a second?
Second.
And a second by Commissioner Wilson. It's my understanding we're gonna keep the electricity or whatever on until what time, Eric? Or what was the
Until the new fiscal year.
new fiscal year? Until it sells or whatever.
When we renegotiate the
Yeah.
insurance premium, et
Okay.
cetera, we'll
All right.
use that.
All right.
October,
Okay.
October 1.
Okay. All right. Any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. Okay. 12.3, discuss, consider, and take any necessary action on changes to the Chapel Hill, Texas Forest Service grant funded brush truck. Chapel Hill brush truck funding request, or, anyway, I guess you're gonna speak on that, Chief Greaser?
I am. Commissioners, you have before you the revised work that is collaborative with Chapel Hill, Chief Dale Peterson, those that were in the work of reworking this apparatus. Josh Bardwell, one of our members of the organization that had previous experience, in fact, as a fire coordinator for TFS and amongst many other roles and responsibilities of wildland firefighting. Definitely an expert in the field and had collaborated with us and went and did the pre-construction on that. There were a few things that you asked me to reconsider and go back in and look at, trying to obviously trim the cost of making those changes. No doubt about it, those changes were expensive. In return for that, producing a quality apparatus that would have longevity for us. Grant funding on this was for a chassis and a skid unit, so it wasn't for a full truck. We purchased this truck ahead of my arrival. In fact, I think it was November of '22 is when this was approved. With that in mind, the changes that we asked for the last time included also some tools and equipment and also included an IT package. So we wanted to be transparent and show you all of that. What I'm showing you tonight is not with the tools and equipment, and it is not with the IT package. We've gone back and looking at the apparatus that will be decommissioned from Chapel Hill when this unit arrives, and we want to recover as much off of that truck as we possibly can at your direction to make sure that we're efficient and effective with the tools and resources that we have. So we'll recover as much as possibly useful, including any radios and IT components that can move over. We've trimmed out, for example, some of the things that were trimmed out of the spec were things like painted body, window tinting, anything that had niceties to it. We tried to pull out of the spec. One of the things I asked for was functionality to remain in the truck. And so we believe that the functionality remains as the design was redesigned, and that it will serve the district for many years to come as a Type 3 apparatus, which is not a small brush truck and not a full Type 1 pumper, one of the big engine pumpers. So this is the in-between. We think that it has some functionality for structure protection in wildland events and amongst many other service provider type calls that we think it'll be very useful for. That's what you have before you, and I entertain any questions that you might have tonight.
So I know the original package that we looked at that we approved did not include the equipment, the radios, or the IT package. So do you have an idea what that cost may be?
If we were,
Acknowledging that we're going to reuse as much as possible.
so the maximum, if you had nothing to reuse, it would be about $30,000 for loose equipment.
Right, it's normally about 33,000 was what all.
Right.
But what do we think? Do we think that we'll realize that entire?
I think that there will be some things in small tools and equipment that we'll have. There are some things that a Type 6 doesn't carry, so it will be replacing a Type 6 brush truck, smaller F-Series type brush truck. So when it comes off of there, there'll be some things that those brush trucks just don't have that on them that will be necessary for this. And so I hope that kind of gets you in the ballpark, but I think it's probably 70% of it is what we'll need.
We're gonna need
About-
70% of the 30,000.
That's correct. Barring locating additional equipment elsewhere, I think it's about 70% is what we're gonna need.
Well, this is actually a large brush truck with a 500-gallon tank, where the rest of them are small with 300-gallon.
3 to 4, some have 4.
And I understand that we're buying a much more robust piece of equipment.
Correct.
I was just trying to make sure that I understand what the actual cost would be.
There's still a little growth after
I'm sorry, I missed that.
this. There's still a little growth after this with respect to this brush truck.
In terms of loose equipment, if, showing you the full cost in terms of loose equipment, is there wiggle room for that out of normal operating budget, potentially? But being very transparent with you, that would need to be in there. What we hope is that radio package in there, and we had some discussion about that in the last meeting, whether or not the right move to do is to replace radios as an apparatus replaces, or whether we keep recycling radios from one truck to another, knowing that at some point you're gonna have a large inflated replacement package to get it, radios in compliance. So that's a philosophical decision about what do we do with that long term. There's no doubt that decommissioning a truck will leave a radio coming out of a truck. So I think that there's an opportunity to recycle that.
I personally would ask that you continue, well, especially for this particular instance where we have such a drastic overrun in the original approved price, and that we would reuse to the furthest extent possible, everything that we can. Try to cut that 70% of the 30, not only that 25,000, we need to minimize it.
I don't disagree.
To the extent we possibly can.
Yes, sir.
Now, we can look at next year's budget and talk about potentially upgrade on radios or equipment that, if that's warranted, but in this particular case, I mean, I appreciate all the work that you've done. We'd just like to see us to keep the belt tight.
Point well received.
Okay.
I have no more questions.
Any more?
I'd make the motion that we approve the changes to the Chapel Hill brush truck for an amount not to exceed $55,842.86.
And a motion by Commissioner Donley to approve the changes to the Chapel Hill brush truck for an amount not to exceed $55,842.86. I have a second. Second. A second by Commissioner Edwards. Is any other question or discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries.
Can I just make a comment too, that we assign a project code for this particular one, so we can keep track of.
Exactly where
That'll-
we're spending, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. That'll be left up to you, Eric, however you want to handle it. All right. Item 13, discuss, consider, and take any necessary action on fire chiefs presenting, discussing issues with the board for future actions. Chief Arnold, you have anything? Okay.
I've been telling y'all, I've been a little disgusted with some of our volunteers, and we officially have gotten 2 of them turned in today, their radios and everything. I will be getting with him over there and bringing a pile of stuff to the office. Everybody else is continuing on with their training. Everybody is cooperating at this time. So training's going okay, except for those 2 volunteers that we discussed. They're no longer with us. One thing I will, Sherry's not here. When we did the last random drug screen, I had 2 people on the list, one of which was a member and one of which hadn't been on the department in 6 years. And I asked her where she was getting her list from, and apparently there's 3 or 4 lists going around. So I'm fixing to compile a list of my volunteers and submit them to her so she'll know who is a volunteer and who is not. Lonnie Howard hadn't been a volunteer with us in 6 years.
Probably longer than that.
Yeah, and he was pulled for a random drug screen. She was understanding, and there's some kind of confusing, I don't know where all these lists are coming from, but we're gonna get it straightened out.
Okay, thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Board, Chief Riley?
So, let me just, real quick, I just want to try to figure out, who was the volunteer that you mentioned that's no longer with us?
The ones that I'm getting.
No, the one that's not with us.
Lonnie Howard?
Lonnie Howard.
Yeah.
I'm just seeing if he shows up on your roster here, but he doesn't.
I haven't seen him on any roster. I don't know how she wound up that night. But Lonnie, he was a paramedic with ETMC. He's been with Arcadia or whoever it is. He's offshore.
He's offshore.
Yeah.
He's been offshore for 5, 6 years.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Estrom, if you would take the action, just try to help us consolidate, so,
Yeah.
I mean, let's say, the other, in the chief's report had several errors in it, that there's something that's going on in here that we need to probably go back in and follow back, make sure we got the right compiled list.
Any other questions, Commissioner?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, all right. Chief
Good
Riley?
Good afternoon, thank you. As Chief Greaser mentioned, May was a busy month with all the storms that came through. 108 calls for Bullard. The volunteers there logged just under 2,500 personnel hours for the month. On your report, you'll see 2 no responses and 2 one-person responses. Those all 4 occurred during the storms. The no responses were actually canceled prior to being checked en route, so it just looks like a no response. And the one-person responses were while we had staff spread across all the different apparatus, just trying to get to different areas of the district to make sure that that the roads were open. We currently have 25 on the roster. I think it says 26. We're at 25, and we just interviewed 3 more this last week. And so we're growing quite a bit at the moment. Out of the ones we just interviewed, one has a little bit of experience volunteering, works in the medical field, but brings no applicable certifications with him, so it'd be kind of a new start for that one. We have a paramedic that's an active paramedic with a local EMS agency that's interested in pursuing a career in the fire service. And then we also have a retired battalion chief out of St. Louis, Missouri, that brings about 40 years of experience with him and as an educator and instructor with TEACS. And so those 3 are in the works and with HR at the moment. We have 3 in Fire Academy. We have 7 focusing on their EMT at the moment. 2 that just finished driver, operator, pumper, getting ready to test with TCFP. And of course, our officers are involved in officer, instructor, and incident safety officer certifications. We have a PR this Saturday, the 29th, Blast Over Bullard. We're doing that in collaboration with the city and as well as Chamber of Commerce and the police department. We're going to be providing standby for medical, EMS, as well as the fireworks display towards the end of the event. Brought the Humvee tonight if anybody wanted to take a look at it. We're kind of do a kind of a Humvee unveiling or debut at the event this weekend as well. Do you have any questions for me?
Your event is this Saturday?
This Saturday, the 29th, from 1700 till the fireworks are over that afternoon.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Chapel Hill, Chief Peterson?
Like everybody said, we had a busy month with all these storms. 'Cause we sent out, like I say, we helped, not just my area, we sent grass trucks in other areas as well. They're helping the area in the county. We were asked by Chief, and I honored by giving him some of our trucks. I had enough guys to help out. Also, we done an event at Chapel Hill, near the end of the school year. Just kind of a health fair, try to help look kids if they're interested in trying to come on. Then also we got 2 new candidates just received their support certifications, finished that up, and also another one that finished up on their wildlife certification. So we got them done through the SFMA. Also, we had, just recently now, we got 5 new guys just came in and got applications. So we're doing the process of those 5 new members going through. And in fact, I got one more I just found through the, I think it's the recruiting, has a SFA put on through the state that come through our email. I called him, his number was there, was close to our district, and he sounded really interested. He has some background in firefighting as well, so I'm going to see about getting him an application as well. So we're getting more guys coming on. Also, our training, we've been doing good at our training. We did a May training, we did water supply, doing drafting, trying to get some guys learn how to draft with our trucks, try to stay up with that. And then also we did the Lucas device, like Chief said, on trucks, getting our guys getting used and know how to use that Lucas device, as well as getting ready for all these storms, how to use a chainsaw correctly, and when you get out in the storm areas as well, and not getting yourself hurt. Other than that, and then also we're going, the end of this week, me and 2 other people are going to our SFMA conference down in San Marcos, so we'll be down there for this year weekend for that conference. And then when we get back from that, just shortly, we got teachers coming up at A&M. So,
Hey, Chief, on your people that are getting certified support and everything, how long does it take them to get put on the website at SFFMA once they get their deal?
It's doing pretty good with that new system that SMA put out and their certifications. In fact, 2 of them I just put out here. Once you put it in their system, then they have to go through their, as long as the process is through teach and stuff like that, and they honor them pretty quick. So I got them back within, what was it? About a week, we got their support back. So
there could be about a week or 10-day lag from the time.
Once you submit everything in, yeah, once you submit all the paperwork, yes, it takes.
I know how the state is, sometimes they get way behind and then all of a sudden they dump everything.
Yeah, with the old system they had before down there, yeah, you're looking 2 or 3 months behind. But now since the new system they got in, we have been processing not just the support, but even all the other certifications, from officers to anything else. It's processed pretty quicker now.
Okay.
So it does help us.
Again, you said you had an upcoming health fair, and I'm sorry I missed one.
We just had it, it was at the high school.
Okay.
Yeah, it's already been done.
I was going to recommend to yourself and Chief Riley that, please reach out to our public communication, public relations. Get it broadcast out there broad as you possibly can. We'd like to, even outside of your own district, we want to make sure that everybody within the county or adjoining counties know that these events are coming up.
And we got one more one is fireworks we do at church right there by the school. We do it every year. We're doing that here on the 30th, and this next coming weekend, we're going to be doing that for them as well.
Okay. Please reach out, Nikki, give her an opportunity to help promote it.
Sure can.
All right. My computer just went crazy. All right. Clint Gresham. I don't think there's anybody here from Flint. I think they let leave on fire or something, didn't they? Okay, Flint's not here. Noonday left also. Okay. Troop's not here. He called and had company coming in. White House, Chief Champion.
We've got several that are doing some training and classwork in their books and stuff. Got 2 new ones coming in July. Reason why both of them coming in July, they're both counselors and at church camp right now. And so they'll be over that with the 1st of July. I've got 2 that's going to be going to A&M Fire School this next month. Events coming up. We're probably usually the biggest district with firework events coming up. July the 3rd, we got Pleasant Hill Baptist Church, which I've got with the B shift. B shift be on duty. Then July the 5th, we got the boaters at Lake Tyler. And Saturday, July the 6th, we've got the big shoot that's on the dam on the old lake at Lake Tyler, which is including our C shift guys. Advise them of that and letting them know.
Are y'all gonna be out on the lake 4th of July with the boat?
Yes, correct, and thank goodness, we had the other day, come up on our emails the other day, Noonday's boat is back in service, so we do have a boat on Palestine and Tyler, which is a good thing.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you, Chief
Thank you,
Sheffield.
Chief. Wynonna. Ms. Paula, how are you?
Good evening, Commissioners. Chief Allen expresses his apologies. He had an emergent situation with his employer, and he had to leave. Let's see, with our weather, I have a notes. With our weather situation, we did have volunteers staffing Station 1 and Station 2. We also sent a brush truck team, I believe, to Noonday in support of some of their weather situation. We do have one personnel that's paperwork's been put in through the ESD. We're still waiting. At this time, they haven't heard back anything about background check or drug screening. We do have two personnel who just completed their support certification through SFFMA after the most recent EVDT course, which was it's always the lag, is getting that EVT course in. Let's see, in May, our main event was we did do our live fire training at the Red Springs Training Ground, which was an excellent training opportunity. As far as active training, we currently have 3 members in the EMR class with UTEMS. We have 3 members or 3 officers who are enrolled in the Kilgore College Fire Academy's Instructor 1 course. We have 2 of our members who are in the NWCG Wildland online courses, and we have 2 of us who will be going to Teeks Municipal School. Also, Winona Fire Department is currently assisting to coordinate an online Firefighter 1 didactic class, and we are teamed with Chief Tate, who is coordinating the introductory skills portion of that, and we have 11 firefighters across the county who are involved in that class.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Item 14 will be a closed session. The board will convene in closed session in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code 551.071, 551.072, and 551.074. No action shall be taken while the board is in closed session. Any final action, final decision, or final vote shall be taken after the board reconvenes in open session. And we are in closed session at 7:47.
ready.
As soon as, when Brent says it's ready. Call the open session back to order at 8:58 PM. And we'll move to item 15.1, discuss, consider, and take any action on the purchase of real property.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the purchase of real property and authorize board president to sign any associated documents.
Have a motion by Commissioner Domney to approve the purchase of real property and authorize the board president to sign any associated documents. Have a second? Have a second by Commissioner Wilson. Is there any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay, and that motion carries. 15.2 is discuss, consider, and take any action on personnel matters, and there's no action to be taken on that item. And item 16 is remarks by presiding officers or commissioners, informational updates, items to be placed on future agendas and future meeting dates, times, and/or locations. Only thing I'm gonna say is we appreciate the job everybody did during the storms. There's a lot of work to be done. Everybody pitched in and worked together, and I appreciate that. I appreciate our command staff taking care of things like they needed to, and all our officers with our service providers taking care of what they needed to take care of, and just shows when everybody works together what you can accomplish. So we appreciate that, and I know it took time away from your families, and a lot of you didn't have power, and so just kudos to all of you. Anybody else have anything they'd like to say? Brent?
Don't have anything, thank you.
Charles?
No.
Okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So